Hey guys, we're going to talk about percent proportions. If you're in my class, it's 2.3. If you need a review, it's where we are setting things up. So, first of all, I want to talk about the word is and the word of. So, in a sentence, you might see what is. So, what is means that the is our unknown. So, I'm going to use X as our variable. Okay? If you see of what number, that's also the unknown, and I'm just going to use Y. So I'm using whatever variables I want. You can use A, B, C, W, T, whichever ones you want. I don't suggest Z because Z looks like a 2. T ends up looking like a plus sign, so just be careful. So these are certain phrases that are going to help you. Okay? So what this really means is your is your part, and the of is the whole. Okay? So this is really important to remember. Let's just make sure that we know it's doubly important. My green's going to cut out on me, so we'll try this one. Okay. Anyways. So, our percent proportion is always part over whole equals your percent, so whatever that is, over 100. So when we are talking about a percent proportion, this is what we're talking about. Part over whole equals percent over 100. I apologize for my leftiness getting in the way. Okay. So let's start by just doing some, what percents. That might be easiest. So first one, what percent of $15 is $9? Okay, so one of the things I want you to take note of, it says what percent, so that usually indicates we don't know the percent. And then we have an of 15. Actually, let me grab some markers, hold on. Okay, we have our of 15, so it tells us what the of is. And then we want the is 9. Okay, so this just breaks it down. If you underline it in colors or highlight it, it tends to work really well. So now we're going to set this up. We want to know part. We want to know the whole. And we want to know the percent. Okay, so what this means, remember, the is the part, the of is the whole. What percent of 15 is 9? So when we look, the is the part, so that happens to be our green, so that's 9. The of is our whole, and that happens to be of 15, so that's 15. And it even tells us what percent. So we can use any variable we want. I tend to use X. So this is all we need to write our percent proportion. Now we're just going to use the formula for our percent proportion, which is part over whole equals percent over 100. So the part is 9. We are going to put it over the whole, which is 15, equals, what is our percent? Well, that we said is our variable because we don't know. So that is that X over 100. Okay, remember, cross multiplication means that we're going directly across diagonally. I don't know if you guys remember Connect 4, you might be too young. But with Connect 4, you can win diagonally, or bingo. Again, think you might be too young for. So when I set this up, 15 times X, because that's across from it, equals 9 times 100. So when you cross multiply, you are just multiplying the number that's diagonal to that other number. When we have an integer and a variable, remember they just get squished together. So it's 15x, 9 times 100 is 900. Now, we are back to some one-step equations. Remember, this was a 15 times x. We want to get x by itself. So our goal here We want this all by itself. In order to do that, we have to undo what's been done to it. So that 15 was multiplied by it. To undo it, we need to divide. So we're going to divide by 15 on both sides. Okay, little side note, in case you don't remember. What happens on one side, what you do to one side of the equation, to one side, you need to do to the other. So this is true of all equations. It doesn't matter if it's a one-step equation, a two-step equation, multi-step, an absolute value equation, any type of equation, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So, handy dandy calculators. These cancel. Don't forget to show that you're canceling. And then all you have left is that x. And then x equals 60. So they wanted to know, so it's a 60%. Not too bad. Okay, let's try another one. Oh, I'm sorry. I know. You guys might need to pause this. I apologize. Okay, so these can also be written kind of wonky. So, for example, $12.75 is what percent of 50? Okay, this one looks it looks kind of odd, which is okay. So, I still have the phrase though, what percent? So that what percent automatically tells me I don't know the percentage for this. Okay, and then the is, it's just a little backwards, but this is still our is because it's telling us. Instead of saying is 9, this one is saying 12.75 is. So just a little tiny bit backwards. And then the of 50, this one is still there. Okay, so I'm going to set it up the same way. I am going to write out my part, my whole, and my percent. So part, whole, and percent. Okay, remember the is the part, the of is the whole, and percent usually has a percent sign. So the part is what? Math joke, haha. Okay, no. The part is $12.75. The whole, which is the of, is 50. And no, it's not always true that one is larger than the other. And our percent is unknown. This time I'm going to use the variable y. Why? Because I can. I know. I have certain students right now that I'm sure are rolling their eyes going, Miss Curtin's crazy. That's okay. Continuing on. Setting this up. Part over whole equals percent over 100. Remember, this is our percent proportion. As soon as you get your paper for your quiz, as soon as you get your paper for your homework, write this down at the top. It will make it so much easier. So remember, it's 12.75 over my whole, which is 50. And this is going to be equal to percent, which in this case is y, over 100. Cross multiplying. 50 times y equals 12.75 times 100. I just want you to note that this is done with a decimal for multiplication. Because I have a decimal here, I decided to use parentheses. They mean the exact same thing. So squish them together. 50y equals 1,275. So when we multiplied that, it ends up being 1,275. Remember, we are back to our basic division, our basic equation. We're going to divide by 50. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. I'm sure you have heard all of your teachers say this multiple times. The 50s cancel out. Now, really, 50 divided by 50 is 1, so keep that in mind. It just becomes invisible at this point. And so this is why a lot of times you'll see it like this, 1275 divided by 50. Okay, let's see, 25.5. So y equals 25.5%. Okay? If you need to, pause the video. Okay, just so you know, I'm on a new page, so don't worry. So the first thing at the top of my page, I write down the equation or the formula for my percent proportion, because this just helps me. Okay, so our next one we're going to try, so number 3 in our practice, what number is 40% of 120? So, remember, we're going through. So this time, so I have my 40%, okay, my of 120. So don't let the fact that the is in front of the percent throw you off, okay? This is what number is. So these actually go together. So this is telling me that I don't know my is. So remember, this is part, whole, and percent. Even though it says is 40%, they're not going to be the same. Remember that is a number. It is not a percent. Your percent is always just the number with a percent sign. So this one's easy, that 40%. So what percent do you have? You have 40. Okay. Now what number is, remember that's my part, so I don't know what it is. I'm going to use X again. Of 120 is the whole, so this is that 120. And I'm going right back up to my percent proportion. Part over whole equals percent over 100. So this means we have X over our whole, which is 120, equals percent, which is 40 out of 100. Cross multiplying. Remember, you just multiply across. So X times 100 equals 100 times 40. Okay, if you wrote 120 times 40 first, that's okay. I always like putting my variable on the left. It's up to you. You can do 100 times 40 equals X times 100. It doesn't matter. This is just how I like to write it. So this means it's 100X equals, let's see, 120 times 40 equals 4,800. Same thing. See how it looks exactly the same as the other ones? It's just the setup that's going to be different. So over, we're going to divide by 100 and dividing by 100. These reduce to 1, so we just have that X, and this becomes 48. So X equals 48, which means 48 is 40% of 120. Okay. I know we're getting the hang of this. 12% of 85 is what number? Okay. Gonna pause the video. You pause it, you try it, come back, and we'll check our answers. Okay, how'd you guys do with this? So, again, I am highlighting, underlining this problem to help me out. Easiest one, which number has the percent with it? The 12. Cool. Of 85, which means that's my whole, is what number? I don't know. This is why I'm asking you. So the part, in this case, I gave it the variable y. The whole I gave 85, and the percent was 12. Set it up as your part over whole equals percent over 100. Part over whole equals percent over 100. Cross multiplying. Remember, as I told you before, I like putting my variable on the left side. You don't have to. So y times 100, or 100 times y, equals 85 times 12, or 12 times 85, they mean the same thing. When you do this, you get 100y equals 1020. We have our basic one-step equation, so we're going to divide by 100. Now, your answer could be 10.20 or 10.2, depending on your calculator or how you are dividing. They mean the exact same thing. Okay, last one. I promise. Sort of. Okay. 18 is 25% of what number? Okay, so let's start with my easy one, my percentage. I like these when they tell me this. Okay, now remember, be careful. That is kind of backwards. So my is telling me what 18 is. So they still go together. And then this time it's of what number? Remember that whole of is a whole. So part whole percent. Okay, the part, well, it says 18 is, so that one's not too bad. My percent, 25. Now, my whole, well, see how it says of what number? That means we don't know it, so we have to give it a variable. Let's give it a W. We're going to give it a W today. Okay, part over whole equals percent over 100. Sorry about that stammer. So 18 over W equals 25 over 100. Cross multiplication. W times 25 equals 18 times 100. So we get 25W equals 1800. And we are back to that, nice one-step equation. To undo the multiplication, we are going to divide. So one of the reasons we don't divide first, guys, because I can hear you asking that, is because of order of operations, which we'll get into later. You might have already seen it. If you have, that's awesome. If you haven't, don't worry, we're going to get into it later. So now we do 1800 divided by 25, and W equals 72. So our whole number is 72. Okay? So give these a try. If you get stuck, remember, email, let me know. I'll talk to you later. Bye.